In the world of makeup, here is Steve Fox. Steve.
Hugh, makeup has always been a highly regarded craft in Hollywood, but in recent years it has progressed dramatically and become both an art and a science, combining the skills of the painter and the mechanic, the sculptor and the engineer.
My name is Jack Kraft.
In a way, makeup is the most magical of the motion picture arts because it's the most pure illusion. Makeup men don't want you to notice their work, just accept it as reality.
It's fun to make something that didn't exist before and
changing it to meet the demands of a role, occasionally by helping an actor understand the role.
There's also a sort of a joke that actors say, well, look, I really don't understand the role, but when I get the makeup on, I'll be fine.
Because makeup is essential to movie make-believe, the makeup men are paid well, from a union scale minimum of $700 per week to more than 3 times that amount per day for top artists like Dick Smith, who aged Dustin Hoffman from a fresh-faced teenager into a 121-year-old codger in Little Big Man, and who transformed pretty Linda Blair into a hideously possessed child in The Exorcist.
When you sit an actor down in a chair and you spend a couple of hours adding on appliances, as we call them, foam rubber noses and chins and things like that, and then you get to a point where you start putting the paint on, the color, and suddenly these rubber pieces become flesh, and it's all a new face.
It looks just fine.
And suddenly this thing comes to life. It's a marvelous feeling. I never cease being thrilled by that magic.
Makeup has changed a lot over the years, and this is a story about the latest wrinkle, makeup with a life of its own. A logical development in a way, because makeup has always helped actors bring life to their roles, especially in monster movies. In the early days, silent screen star Lon Chaney Sr. often suffered for the sake of illusion. Using techniques he learned in vaudeville, Chaney improvised many unique but painful makeup characterizations.
Lon Chaney Sr., if you look at his Quasimodo makeup, I mean, he tortured himself. He put an 80-pound hump on his back and would put wires inside his mouth to distend it and glass things in his eye. Horrendously painful, terrible things.
The result of Chaney's pursuit of screen realism was a gallery of unusual creatures, including the Phantom of the Opera. The most famous movie monster of all, Frankenstein's creature, was the brainchild of Jack Pierce, who consulted medical journals and surgeons before crowning an unknown actor named Boris Karloff with that famous domed head made of wax and heavy clay, a process which essentially remained the industry standard for the next 30 years. A revolutionary development in makeup arrived with the 1966 film Planet of the Apes, for which makeup man John Chambers won a Special Achievement Oscar. Before coming to Hollywood, Chambers made prosthetic devices, artificial parts, for wounded World War II veterans.
I brought a science to Hollywood, laboratory procedures in makeup and making the foam rubber appliances and the different special effects things that we use today.
Chambers replaced the heavy clay of the past with new lightweight latex masks, which were much more comfortable and allowed considerable freedom of expression.
Why did you run away?
Security police.
I'm in charge of this man.
No longer, madam. He's now in custody of the Ministry of Science.
Get your sticking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
At that time, it was a revolutionary thing, those prosthetics, and really quite remarkable. But the apes' makeup now look a little primitive because they had this very stiff foam to work with, and they're very stiff. The new stuff is not stiff. The new stuff that they keep inventing and reinventing every day is totally pliable.
This is the first step in a process used to create special makeup for many films. Here, Dick Smith and his assistants apply to an actor's face the kind of soft, rubbery material used by dentists to make molds of teeth.
Okay, let's see how it looks.
After this substance dries and is carefully removed, it serves as a mold
Beautiful.
into which plaster is poured to create a replica of the actor's face. The makeup artist then adds clay and sculpts onto the bust the face he wants to create. A layer of latex is applied to the finished sculpture, resulting in a flexible mask, which is then cut into several pieces and glued to the actor's face. What the actor has inherited is, in a sense, a second skin. In Little Big Man, Dustin Hoffman's acting brought Dick Smith's old age makeup to life. In Altered States, the makeup brought its own life to the role played by actor William Hurt. In this test footage, Hurt tried out a series of flexible rubber bladders, which caused a thin covering layer of latex skin to move. This is called special effects makeup, the latest development in the art.
Special effects makeup is when something to do with the actor or the makeup changes. Arm swells up, face swells up, the nose grows long, something like that. That's an effect. There's a quantum leap into this kind of technology and artistry.
Because of constant progress, yesterday's makeup miracles are as long-lasting as yesterday's newspaper headlines. For example, let's take a look at the transformation scene in the 1935 film Werewolf of London. A transformation accomplished through makeup and a series of camera tricks. Now, the way they did it was this. Every time Henry Hull walked behind a pillar, they stopped the camera, and a makeup man rushed out and changed his appearance slightly. Then the camera rolled again, and Hull walked out from behind the pillar looking more like a werewolf every time. Simple, but effective, at least back then. Today, half a century later, audiences are more sophisticated, which basically means that they're more demanding.
Every script I've seen in recent years, whether it's a big production or a low-budget one, has built into it something new, some new crazy thing that they want to see on camera. And we have to figure out how to do it.
Director John Landis handed just such a script to makeup man Rick Baker for An American Werewolf in London. The early stages of the transformation were accomplished just like in the old days, with makeup applied to actor David Naughton when the camera wasn't rolling, and the changes disguised by editing and varying camera angles. But then Director Landis reached for more realism.
I'm asking for something anatomically impossible to make total visual sense as it happens, in bright light. And Rick's going, thanks a lot, you know.
To create the makeup effects that Landis demanded, like transforming feet into paws and making ears grow, Baker spent $300,000 of the film's $10 million budget designing makeup that changed right in front of the camera lens. The most dramatic makeup effect, the metamorphosis of the werewolf's head, was accomplished with this, what Baker calls a change-o head. Sculpted from a life mask of the actor and operated with a number of levers and pneumatic devices, this change-o head, when shot in close-up, replaced the actor, and the makeup itself became the star.
The biggest pressure is just to hope that it works. Like I said, you have a prototype thing that you really haven't had a lot of time to work out the bugs with, and you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars standing there looking at you saying, is this going to work?
And it did work. Baker's makeup brought his werewolf puppet to life, and this year won him an Academy Award nomination.
Well, is it makeup? It is makeup, but it's makeup advanced to a new state. You know, I mean, just with what you can do with grease paint is not enough. So they went from grease paint to nose putty, and then they went from nose putty to rubber, you know, and we're just going beyond.
Ultimately, it seems that the thing which unites both the practitioners and the admirers of special effects makeup is the sheer love of creation.
You have created for you.
Do you ever have nightmares about the things you make?
No. They're my friends.
Do you have any idea why you like them?
No, I don't. I really don't have a good reason why I like it. I mean, it's like I've seen him develop from a hunk of clay into something like this, so I love it.
Planet of the Apes, monkeys were given speech and passions much like our own.
Cornelius.
It all began in 1968 when 20th Century Fox launched its highly unique series of ape films. One key to its success is the award-winning makeup developed by John Chambers. Special form-fitting applications allow an actor to register real facial expressions, just like any monkey. Once behind the mask, the actor